Welcome to Healers Talk Healing. I'm your host, Nina Ganguly. Join us on this exhilarating journey as we share the wisdom and insights that can truly transform your life. It's time to embark on a voyage towards a happier, healthier you.
Why am I so upset about, that's probably work that you still have to do, but you've done such a beautiful job in teaching them how to show up and not need that validation from you, that you might find that, okay, so actually maybe there is a part of me that's still seeking a little bit of validation, even through my children needing me. And so in this moment, this is actually about me and not about them, right?
Well, it's
And that's what,
always an inside job, always.
oh,
There's never anything outside of you, because we create our own reality. So it's really about how we show up. And it's funny that you were talking about, it's the beingness, it's not the doing, you be, do, have. And we are taught you do, and then you have, and then you be. And I think
yeah,
that's it. Like, kids are always asked, what do you want to be when you grow up? But not from the perspective of, I want to be kind, loving, generous,
what
curious.
do you want to produce?
Yeah, right. It's like, well, we're expecting to hear, oh, I want to be a doctor, a lawyer, I don't know, a fisherman or whatever, a something, but not a someone, which is such a miss for us as human beings with the children. Is, can you imagine if a child said that to you? I'd be like, good job, I just want to be a kind, loving human being.
Yeah.
Exactly. And you just
Yeah.
bring them to everything that you do.
Exactly. And then to take it even further than that, something that I unpacked for myself just this year was the fact that as children, we're also asked what we want to be. And yes, that's usually in association with some form of career or how you produce and give back to the economy, et cetera, et cetera. But beyond that, we're always expected to have one answer. We're
Mm-hmm.
expected to just be one thing. And that also is such a disservice to us as humans because we're multifaceted and we're multidimensional. And that puts us on a path as well to not being our authentic selves because it tells us we have to move towards one thing and be one thing our entire lives.
Oh,
And it
wow,
is
I'm glad you said
living,
that.
yeah, and it is living in that oneness that forces us to deprive ourselves of so many aspects of ourselves that are meant to be nurtured and cultivated. And for many people, this does lead to also burnout, but it leads us to hide parts of ourselves that are also so important. And that leads to lack of contentment. That leads to a lack of, self-worth or hatred towards ourselves for, being in a career that's super successful, yet actually want to do this really super artsy thing, but we can't do that because we've been told to do this one thing our entire lives. And I feel like that has been such a curse, like even more so for, generations prior to mine, because I feel like, even watching my mom stay in one career her entire life that she didn't even want to be in, quite frankly, but because she felt that that was the career that was going to provide for us. And in hindsight, if she had even, just a few years ago or even now let herself explore this aspect of her that was really, really true to her, she'd have been so much more fulfilled, right? But that is not what we are taught.
No, right? Stay in your career for 30 years, get your pension, get out, take care of your kids or your family or whatever it is you're taking care of. And then, yeah, out you get. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And you walk away. And just to
there's
stop
incentives to this, right? Get your retirement fund, get your 401k, get your
throwing the
pension. Yeah.
RRSPs, like, just make sure that you've got stability, right? And it's so interesting because the stats show that once you retire, you don't a lot of people don't live very long after they retire because
Because
they don't know what else to do.
yeah,
Because you're right, we're not cultivating all the different parts of us at different dimensions. Like, yes, I'm a strategic person in business, but I'm also creative and I'm also an energy healer. And once upon a time, those two things couldn't be together in the same sentence,
yeah.
and now I'm like, yeah, 10 years ago, it wouldn't have been in the same sentence for me. As we explore and we learn and we get to understand more about ourselves, I think that I think discovery is good. It's not easy.
No, No, I always tell my clients this,
Stuff
you
about yourself when you just showed
might
up as
be
a hole, right? You're like, damn, that was me. I did that.
Yeah, and I'm actually, there I read this book. I forgot who I think, I don't want to get the author wrong, but it was called The Big Leap.
Mm.
And it talks about something called the upper limit problem, which I find so fascinating. Um, and I always talk to my clients about it and bring it into healing conversations like this one, because it is all about how when we're in a state of bliss, like when we've gotten that promotion or we're doing well in our relationship or life is just going well, we as humans, we have to fuck it up.
Yes.
Because we reach this point of like bliss and joy that is just it becomes so unbearable because we're so not used to letting ourselves feel joy, because to
Mhm.
feel joy is such a vulnerable thing to do.
Yeah.
And it feels so much more comfortable to live in this state of neutrality, because then if you get too excited, you could be disappointed. But if you don't live excited enough in that place of neutrality, then you're not positive enough, right? And that's also leaves you in a vulnerable position. So it's so fascinating. And I bring it up because it's something that, when my clients, they make 10 strides forward, then all of a sudden it's like 5 strides back and they go deep into this dark place and they're really, really hard on themselves. And I always hear, you know, gosh, I just feel like I've taken like several steps back and like I'm so angry at myself. And I just have to remind them, like, this is the work that you're doing. It's learning to find comfort in the discomfort and understanding that this is just part of the journey. It's the ebbs and flows, and it feels really uncomfortable. One, to start to move towards something that is actually something you really, really want. And seeing that progress is both like, wow, this is amazing. But your subconscious is a tricky little thing. And it's going to start getting in the way and telling you, hey, bring it down a notch. You don't actually deserve that success or that contentment or that joy. And in those waves, what you're also doing is going through grief, because you're having to remove yourself from a past version of yourself.
Mhm.
And there is a deep, deep, deep level of grief that happens with that people do not realize when starting this work.
Don't forget to subscribe, follow, rate, and review our podcast. Your feedback and support mean the world to us. Remember, healing is a lifelong journey, and you have the power to transform your life in profound ways.